Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be her head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that her shoes were too tight, but I think that most likely the reason of all may have been that her heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, her heart or her shoes, she stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos, staring down from her cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town. For she knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy, now hanging a mistletoe wreath.
And they're hanging their stockings.
She snarled with a sneer.
Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here.
Then she growled, with her Grinch fingers nervously drumming.
I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming.
For tomorrow, she knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. Then oh, the noise, 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 the one thing she hated. The noise, noise, noise. Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast, and they'd feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something she liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with the Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, sing, sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought,
I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming, but how?
Then she got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do.
The Grinch laughed in her throat, and she made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat. And she chuckled and clucked.
What a great Grinchy trick. With this hat and this coat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there were none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said,
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
So she called her dog Max. Then she took some red thread and she tied a big horn on top of his head. Then she loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackled sleigh, and she hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said,
Gadap.
And the sleigh started down toward the homes, where the Whos lay a-snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were dreaming sweet dreams without care, when she came to the first little house on that square.
The stop. Number 1.
The old Grinchy Claus hissed, and she climbed to the roof, empty bags in her fist. Then she slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. She got stuck only once, for a moment or two, but then she stuck her head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row.
These stockings are the first to go.
Then she slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and she took every present. Popguns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboard, tricycle, popcorns and swans, and she stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very numbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney. Then she slunk to the icebox. She took the Who's feast, she took the Who's pudding, she took the roast beast. She cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then she stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee.
And now I will stuff up the tree.
And the Grinch grabbed the tree, and she started to shove. When she heard a small sound like the coo of a dove, she turned around fast, and she saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd gotten out of bed for a cold cup of water. She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, she thought up a lie, and she thought it up quick.
Why, my sweet little tot, there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side, so I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there. Then I'll bring it back here.
And her fib fooled the child. Then she patted her head, and she got her a drink, and she sent her to bed. When Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, the Grinch went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then, the last thing she took was a log for their fire. Then she went up the chimney herself, the old liar. On their wall she left nothing but hooks and some wire, and the one speck of food that she left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then she did the same thing to the other Who houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who mouses. It was 15:15 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze, when she packed up her sled. Packed up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsels, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, she rode with her load to the tip-top to dump it.
Pooh-pooh to the Who's. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise I simply must hear.
So she paused, and the Grinch put her hand to her ear, and she did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, but then it started to grow. The sound wasn't sad, but why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. She stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped her eyes. Then she shook, and what she saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing, without any presents at all. She hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or the other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with her Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags.
And she puzzled 3 hours, till her puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something she hadn't before.
Maybe Christmas doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a bit more.
And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute her heart didn't feel quite so tight, she whizzed with her load through the bright morning light, and she brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And her herself,
The Grinch carved the roast beast.